Hey guys, this is Miss Arlequin, and in this video we're going to be talking about some frequently asked questions for the extended response portion of our ELA state test. So what if you are, first off, having trouble understanding the prompt? It's a pretty big deal because if you don't understand the prompt or the question, how are you going to write about it? Well, I would recommend the first thing you do is look at the bullet points just one at a time and just try to write a paragraph for each one. Don't worry about connecting each of the bullet points together. Just if you can do a paragraph for one bullet point and then a paragraph for another, you're going to at least, be addressing some of the prompt, even if it's not a perfect 4 essay. Now, what if you're having trouble understanding one of the texts? Again, that's just as bad as having trouble understanding the question. If you don't understand what you've read, how can you write about it? So first off, I'd recommend focusing on the title, any preview information, directions, or background information they give, and really look at the beginning and the end of the story or the text. Think about what the prompt is asking you to do with the story, and then just try to focus on that. A lot of times the question can actually clarify what the story or the text is about. All right, next, what if you're having trouble getting started with your intro? Well, just write your claim statement or your thesis and just move on. Don't worry about any other part of your intro. Your intro can be one sentence if you're really that stuck. That's probably one of the least important parts of your essay. You really got to get to the body paragraphs. Writing a claim statement by rereading the prompt and then just writing one sentence that basically restates what the prompt is asking you to write mostly about is going to get you started. Now, what if you're doing planning? You've decided to do some kind of thinking map or an evidence chart or a brainstorming web, and it's taking too long. Well, this is not really going to be a problem with an untimed test, but if you are being timed, then just start writing. Planning is not meant to take up all your time. It's meant to just help you start writing to make sure you know what you're going to write about. And if it's stopping you from writing, then you should just skip it. What if you're having trouble finding evidence? We've talked in class about direct and indirect quotes. You want to try, especially on a state test, to use direct quotes. That makes it a lot easier for the people who are grading your test to figure out if you've used evidence. Sometimes a teacher might or a grader might overlook an indirect quote if they're not reading carefully. They shouldn't, but it could happen. So you want to try to use direct quotes, but if you're really having trouble, then just paraphrase. Again, indirect quotes are evidence, and somebody who's scoring you should really be taking that into account. Paraphrase what you remember about the story and use that to support the bullet point. Now, what if there isn't enough time for you to finish your essay? Again, with an untimed test, this shouldn't be a problem, but for time tests, you really should just focus on the bullet points. The intro, once again, can just be one claim or thesis statement, and don't worry about a conclusion. You need to have an intro and a conclusion really to bring your essay up to a 4, but if we're talking about running out of time, then we really should just be answering the bullet points. You can answer all of the bullet points and get a 3. All right, you're running out of space. That can be an issue. You should write smaller, use the margins if you need to. Make sure you're using a sharpened pencil. Just make sure that any blank white space you use to write your additional response is labeled clearly, that it's a continuation of that question number, and that it's not using any space that's meant for a different question. Now, if you're done and there's time left over, make sure you reread. Make sure you answer the prompt as well as you can. Look over the bullet points, use it as a checklist, fix any spelling and grammar mistakes, and write a conclusion if you haven't yet and there's room. And in your conclusion, always try to make some kind of text-to-world connection and make sure that you have an inference. If you make an inference and show some deep thought, that's really what's going to push your essay to a 4. Finally, if you're getting writer's block on a part of the essay, I would recommend you skip 3 lines, maybe more, and just start writing the next part of your essay. If you have time left over, go back and complete that part. Maybe after you've been writing other parts of the essay, the writer's block will go away.